Angeblich sind manche deutsche Politiker wieder mal entsetzt, dass sie nicht im Voraus informiert werden über die Bombardierung auf Iran. Also die finden das nicht toll. Ja? Die sollte im Voraus informiert werden, die deutsche Politiker. Right. Right. So that's what we're going to talk about today in today's Insanity Report, people. It's Tuesday, the 24th of June, 2025. It's 10:15 in the morning here in Germany, and this is the Insanity Report for today, where we're going to talk about the German politicians once again gravely offended that Donald Trump did not call them personally to tell them that he was going to secretly strike Iran. Now, first of all, what these European politicians don't seem to understand, and I wish it wasn't so, but it is so, is that they are not really that important when it comes to America's foreign policy decisions, right? They always want to play the game with the big boys, but they never act like the big boys, and therefore they're not taken seriously. You know what I mean? Like J.D. Vance said at the Munich Security Conference, Europe's biggest problem right now is Europe, right? And Europe's politicians. And this radical left-wing ideology, wokeness bullshit that is taking over politics, the institutions, education, in almost every single European country. That needs to be expelled. We need to make sure that these European countries are energy efficient, economically sound, that the infrastructure is good, that security is good, you know, that they are good places to invest in, etc., etc., etc. Most European countries are not those places. Germany, especially. So basically, America's attitude towards Germany, I can tell you right now, is how about you motherfuckers get your shit in order, and then you can come try and finger wag your way into big boy conversations. That's how they look at German politicians. That's the way they look at them. Sorry. Maybe not the AfD, but the AfD's not in power. So they're not going to, first of all, America is not going to collaborate with Friedrich Merz on things that America feels doesn't concern Friedrich Merz. And the strike on Iran did not concern Friedrich Merz. Whether they told Friedrich Merz or any other German politician beforehand or not, would not have made any difference, you know, because they would have done it anyway, no matter what Friedrich Merz says, right? Now, luckily for Friedrich Merz was pretty much on board with this whole thing. I didn't hear Friedrich Merz complaining that much, but I saw a lot of you know, news conversations and conversations on X where these politicians are pissed off that Vadaful, which I saw on X also. I'm going to tell you guys that in a second. Vadaful was upset that he didn't find out beforehand. Well, Vadaful, which if you speak it out in English is what a fool, which is I found out on somebody on X wrote that. Vadaful, what a fool. That's great, man. That's great. So him, what a fool, didn't get informed beforehand on the strike on Iran because the strike was fucking secret. You see, Donald Trump will never, ever tell anyone outside of his closest circle of people about a secret, right? Unless he wants to leak information out or fuck up leftist heads, you know what I mean? By pretending to let out a secret. Donald Trump's not going to do that, especially not something like this. You know how they carried out this strike? They sent 2 B-2 bombers to another location, right? And allowed them to be tracked, making them think, right, that they were going on that, you know, getting ready to hit that location. And then they bombed the fuck out of those nuclear sites with other B-2s that no one saw coming. All right? So if they're going to carry out the operation in that secretive a fashion, so as to fool the enemy, remember, Donald Trump basically this I don't think is such a great move, but it looks like Donald Trump was acting like he was negotiating with Iran while he knew that Israel was going to strike it. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty fucked up. I don't agree with that, if that's true. It just looks like it. I don't have any real proof that it's true, but it sure seems like that was going on. So if he's going to do all this to get this strike ready and make sure it's as effective and, lethal as possible, so that the United States doesn't get tangled up into a big ground war and a bunch of bullshit, which I hope will be the case, that they won't get involved in any sort of Israeli regime change operation. Fuck that. America did its job, and they should be out now, and that's it. Be thankful. These Iranians don't have nuclear weapons. If they were close before, who knows? We're not going to ever get the truth. But I don't want those people having a nuclear weapon. So, hey, if that's all it is, in and out, boom, that's it, then I'm cool with it, no problem. But the German politicians were upset. Look, people, this is exactly why these people don't get taken seriously, is because they would, right? The German politicians, if they were getting ready to do anything within Europe, they would notify every European neighbor and tell them, beg them for permission, and be like, oh, can we please do this thing? Like with the borders, right? German politicians call bordering countries and say, can we please carry out our border laws? Can we please stop letting people from your country into our country? Can we please do that? I think we're going to start doing that, guys. So just so you're notified, please, that's what we're going to do. Yeah. This is not the game that America plays politically, and a lot of other countries as well, but America, first and foremost, is a whole different game than these Europeans play, right? The Europeans play this patty cake fucking pretend competition. The CDU and the SPD pretend they're enemies, and they pretend they're in competition with each other, but it's all the same shit, right? And American politics used to be just like this. It used to be just like this until Trump came in. Now that shit is changing. Hopefully it remains when Trump is gone. I don't know. I have my doubts about that. Regardless, German politicians are not going to be taken mega seriously by Donald Trump, right? I'm sorry. And the reason is what I told you in the beginning. They look at it like, hey, Europe's got a whole bunch of bullshit going on that they need to strengthen their borders. They need to do deportations. They need to get rid of the Islamism. They need to stop the censorship. They need to stop trying to ban parties and going to authoritarian measures to remain in power. They've got all these problems. Europe's got all these problems, and Germany's got a bunch of them, right? Germany's got a bunch of politically made problems. And so America, thank God, America is looking at these people like petulant teenagers, and they're saying to them, hey, no, clean your fucking room, shut up, stop fucking yapping like you have anything to say. You know what I'm saying? You go do the interest of German people and leave the fucking war shit to big boys that have military and armies, and put the money in and put the money up to defend you and ourselves. Why would America treat Germany or German politicians as an equal when they're not? German politicians are not equal to American politicians. They're not. They're not on the same playing field. You know why? Because America funds the security of their country. So they are subordinates. When somebody is paying your bills, you belong to them. Right? That's pretty much it. You know what I mean? And unless you voluntarily get off them paying your bills, then, if Germany gets its shit together, strengthens its military, puts up the 5% for the NATO membership, and gets its shit together, then they'll be taken more seriously by American politicians. But right now, like I said, they're basically viewed as like petulant kids, that are crying that they can't watch a movie with the adults because it's rated R, But they were told, hey, you can watch the movie, you just got to clean your room and do your homework. And they go, no, we're going to not do that. We still want to be at the table with the adults. No, I'm sorry, that doesn't fly for the likes of Donald Trump, for sure not. And many of his people in his cabinet share the same view. They are not globalist. Germans are globalist. German politicians are globalist. European politicians are globalist. Other than the populist right-wing parties, they're all globalist. And see, Donald Trump doesn't want to go the globalist route. right? He's anti this globalist agenda, anti WHO, anti the fucking climate nonsense, anti all of this one world government control BS bullshit leftist ideology. He's against it all. That's why they don't take these people seriously. And these people are going to have to figure that out on their own. The more they just bitch and complain and whine and moan like they're not at the table, they're not at the table on Ukraine, and they decide what happens to Ukraine, and Ukraine decides what happens to Ukraine. No, Ukraine does not decide what happens to Ukraine. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, that ship has fucking sailed. Right? But they keep wanting to do this baby bitch politics and welfare state socialism, and that's not the agenda that America is on. And so therefore, the European politicians are having to catch up or shut up. That's where we're at. So they can be pissed all they want that Donald Trump didn't personally call them to ask for permission to strike Iran, but they can already write on their notepad today, that's never going to happen. Not in the future, not today, never, ever, ever will Donald Trump fucking go grovel at the European politicians' feet, especially the German politicians, to ask for any permission or to inform them of anything that he doesn't want them to know, right? And I wouldn't have told German politicians either that I was going to strike Iran. There have been too many that would have already leaked it out, that would have leaked it out to the press, told Iran it was coming. Because that's the kind of people these fucking people are. You know what I mean? So, hey, but who am I, right? I just know how they think. So unless these German politicians are willing to get their act together, wake the fuck up, and start, acting like big boys so they can play with the big boys, they're going to be put in the corner every single time by Donald Trump's administration. All right, guys, that's it for today's Insanity Report. Remember to like, subscribe, retweet, repost, re-X, whatever all the shit is. All that stuff is free for you, doesn't cost you very much time, and helps me a lot getting more numbers out there. So that'd be great, and I get to reach more people like that, so I would appreciate it. All right, people, have a good one. See you tomorrow.